kind of a mess. Everything got moved from, this is gonna be a daycare in the future. So when we came in, it was an old floral shop and the remodel started and we moved lights and relocated outlets and got everything ready and up to code for a daycare. Tamper-proof outlets and all that good stuff. Had to relocate this panel out of a bathroom. So there was quite a bit of work here. This is 200 amp service fed from a meter out back. And we had to relocate this from inside the bathroom out into here because the panel can't be located in a bathroom. Just rewired everything and spliced it up above and hid that up in the attic. There's a lot of different code requirements that we have to follow as electricians, and it's National Electrical Code, and in a bathroom you can't have a panel. So we had to relocate that out of this bathroom because they were installing a bathroom here where the panel was, so that had to get moved out of there. This is a pretty standard setup. It's a 200 amp. So this location actually has two services, where at the original building it was a floral shop, and then out back in the beginning it was split into two separate businesses. So what we were able to do is make it so that it's one building, one service, and this is where the main panel feeds from is to here, and then it feeds out to a sub panel out in the kitchen area for kitchen circuits and some other stuff, play areas and that type of thing. So this is a typical 200 amp single phase service. A lot of times this is at a home and business, so it is set up for 3-phase if needed in the future for anything. Yeah, pretty straightforward and routine service upgrade. 3-phase is more of on your commercial side. 3-phase is a more quality power into someplace, especially like manufacturing and or, you know, on the bigger commercial side where it just provides a much higher quality of power than a single phase residential service would. And you don't need that at a home in the residential setting. So that starts at 400 amps and goes up. Yeah, no, this is pretty straightforward, kind of. So this is gonna be a daycare once it opens. What we started with was an open building, no partitions inside. They built these partitions, as you'll see, and what we had to do was wire them for outlets and get the lights working. Relocated lights on the ceiling to make that work. We left outlets along the exterior walls so that those could be utilized for whatever it was that they may need. We didn't do a ton of outlets for this situation because it is a daycare and, you know, you kind of limit what we're doing. We did build a bathroom, a little laundry nook, a kitchen, and we had to relocate a panel as you had seen before. And then there's also a play area out back that we had some lights. These over here are the bathrooms that they built those walls, framed that up, and we roughed that in with outlets, emergency lighting, and lights are in there. We ran the wiring in the walls that were, you know, it was just a stud wall. Ran the wiring in there and loaded those out to the lights to make the switching accommodate what we now had for a layout, so they can shut them off individually. Each section is a different age group of children. That way they can shut lights off as needed in those divided out kind of spaces. So, and then a kitchen for them to do some, you know, light cooking and stuff like that. So, but sometimes I guess just a misconception possibly might be that, you know, if you want to add an outlet into a second floor of a home, or maybe we just want to add something on a house or business that is finished, just exactly how long that does take to get from floor to floor without damaging, you know, any sheetrock and stuff like that. We get calls a lot, which it's definitely possible. It does take a while to snake the walls and get that stuff taken care of. 12 gauge wire has to be on a 20 amp or under circuit. A 14 gauge wire has to be on a 15 amp and under circuit. A lot of times we'll go in and see circuits that have been overloaded and wiring starting to get hot and melt. Another thing that we see a lot with homeowner done electrical, whereas in the state of Maine it is something that a homeowner can legally do. Loose connections in panels and outlets. Those are the number one reason where stuff gets hot and can potentially start a fire. So we do see a lot of that, and your stuff should be retorqued every once in a while over time, because it does at times get loose. This one was pretty straightforward and easy, just to show that we kind of, we can do and we want to do anything electrical related, from residential to lighter commercial, and generator installs, anything that's needed by anyone. And we want to do it to the best of our ability and to keep our customers always satisfied and wanting to call us back. Yes, yep, that's the other. DP1 is out there and DP2 is in here. Open this cover,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah.
Yep. Each job that we do could potentially have its own individual challenges depending on what the customer's looking to do, or for us to be able to find pathways and install lighting and stuff like that. Most of them we can get in and out pretty quick, and in a day or a few hours, but a lot of the bigger jobs will be there any day, a couple days to a week, depending on the size of the job. So I'm trying to think about what we've done lately. Most of our jobs have been pretty straightforward. We've done a lot of service upgrades, 100 amp to 200 amp. The big thing now is solar, and that getting tied in appropriately from the solar panel through the inverter and into the panel, so it can feed back out to CMP. I have seen a lot of undersized wires from kind of the solar companies that are just kind of winging the stuff together. So you just want to be safe and make sure that that's not undersized, because that creates heat, which could create a fire hazard. Another thing that we've been seeing as of late is a lot of the storms that we've had are just, the trees are coming down, they're ripping services off from houses and buildings, and a lot of people are looking for generators now, whereas we're losing power more frequently again. We do install and provide generators, Briggs & Stratton and Kohler. Either option is great. Briggs & Stratton has a 6-year warranty, and Kohler has a 5-year warranty. We typically start at 14 kW and then size up appropriately depending on the electrical load to your home. So that's something we do quite a lot. Upgrades from 100 amp services to 200 amp services. A lot of now, as everything's getting pushed towards the electrical industry and switching over, i.e. heat pumps, EV chargers, and electric, a lot of electric on-demand hot water tanks. All those require massive amounts of electricity to run efficiently, and the service is slowly becoming obsolete, like back in the day when the 60 amp service, now that's gone and by the wayside. So now everything really is almost starting to go to 200 amp instead of 100 amp. For more electrical tips, make sure to follow our page. If you want to get your next electrical project started, go ahead and shoot us a message.